energy efficiency and renewable energy, cleaner energy in the future.
Well, it's interesting because I think we all want to be energy independent. We want, and we know that this country is rich in natural gas, but for the most part, people don't want it in my backyard. And yet, former GE CEO Jack Welch recently compared the potential in U.S. natural gas to the internet boom in terms of job creation and productivity increases. So how do you balance it? How do you balance the potential economic boom that we could see of fracking with the environmental impact?
Well, look, the economic advantages are obvious. We've created hundreds of thousands of jobs because of cheap natural gas. Electricity prices are low because of abundant and cheap natural gas. But the environmental impacts, if you go to the communities where this gas is being produced, are also obvious. I visited Maria south of Pittsburgh, a little town called Washington, with a woman who told me that she had to abandon her family farm because of the fumes from a neighboring well made her kids sick. She was living out of her car. So we need to put in place the strong rules to allow us to do the fracking, but do it safely so that no one has to sacrifice their health for cheap energy.
This is a horrible story, and I'm really glad you brought it up because we've seen stories of people lighting matches by the water running, small working class communities being impacted by energy companies and potential buyouts. What are the most provable, damaging side effects to fracking?
Well, there are risks to water contamination, not so much through the fractures, but through spills on the surface or leaks through the drilling shaft. Also, what happens to the waste? Where do you get the water? If you get all this water out of a big river, not much impact. If you take it out of a trout stream in an arid region, that's a big problem. And then we have the question of global warming, because while everyone knows that natural gas, when it burns, is cleaner than burning coal, when it escapes from the wells or the pipes unburned, it's 70 times more dangerous than carbon dioxide for the first 20 years. So we've got to close the leaks in the system and use it as a fuel.
So what can be done specifically to bring all the groups together? The energy industry, federal government, state government as well. How do you bring everyone together to ensure that we are doing this safely in the most efficient way possible?
Well, we've got to find the common ground, how to do it safely. So the environmental defense...
Can you do it safely?
I believe you can really minimize the risks. The Environmental Defense Fund, has partnered with Southwestern Energy, and together we've developed a model rule for state governments to use to make sure that the wells are drilled safely so that they don't leak into the surrounding aquifer. That model rule served as the basis for Governor Kasich in Ohio for his proposal to the state legislature. So we are making progress with some of the energy companies who realize it's in their best interests if everyone is brought up to a level that this is done safely.
Fascinating. Fred, good to have you on the program. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Maria.
Very insightful, and we appreciate your time today. Fred Krupp joining us. Up next on the Wall Street Journal Report, the programmer who turned Twitter into a household name, technology entrepreneur Jack Dorsey, wants to kill the cash register now. It's all part of the next disruption. People have called you the next Steve Jobs. Is that how you see yourself? Well, some say cash is king, but is it raining on borrowed time? The startling speed at which technology makes many parts of our lives more efficient is changing the way things are bought and sold as well. Last week at a gathering of influential technology CEOs, I spoke to entrepreneur Jack Dorsey about his rapidly growing 3-year-old company, Square. He's trying to put your money where your mobile is.
When I was 8, I had a business card that said Jack Dorsey Consultant.
At 35, Twitter's creator Jack Dorsey hopes his mobile payment startup Square will change the relationship you have with your wallet.
Money as a concept has been with us for 5,000 years. It started with us trading seashells, and it touches every single person on this planet. And at one point in someone's life, every single person on this planet feels bad about it. It feels like a burden. So how do we remove that burden completely and make it feel like something that really gets them to an end, which is an experience they want to have or a service or a product they want to buy?
Talk to us about Square and what it is enabling.
Less and less people are carrying cash. They're not carrying their checkbooks anymore. They're carrying these plastic cards everywhere. So Square originally was a little tiny device that you plugged into your mobile device, your iPad, your iPhone, your Android device, and it would allow you to accept credit cards instantly, and the money would go to your bank account directly the very next day.
It's such a great idea, and because of that, you've got other companies nipping at your heels. So you've got folks like Intuit and PayPal wanting to do what Square does.
Well, our focus has always been around not just payments, but the entire commerce experience, the entire buying and selling experience. If you look at just payments, then you're looking just at the payer, and the payer is actually just someone who does a mechanical thing, and we wanted to remove all the mechanics of payments. We started with individuals, but we wanted to build a utility that scales between someone just wanting to sell something at their yard sale with a credit card, but also to the largest organization in the world, and Starbucks validated that last week by bringing it to every one of their stores in the United States.
Walk us through how that works. I go into a Starbucks. What do? I just say, "Hi, it's Maria. I want a latte"?
Well, to start, you download Square Wallet for your phone, and then you find the Starbucks in the directory, and you find your closest Starbucks, and then you go up and you say, "I'd like a double tall latte," and you simply show your phone to the scanner. There's a quick beep, and then they hand you your coffee and you walk away. It's very, very simple.
No questions asked. I have my coffee. I paid. The cash register is dead.
Yes, yes, yes. The cash register is moving more and more off the counter and into the buyer's hand. And that's the most amazing thing, is the buyer is completely in control of the transaction. So it's the device, the payment device is not leaving their hand at all. And that is the most secure transaction that you can have.
So you also co-founded Twitter, which also has sort of changed the world in a different way. Is there a thread between Twitter and Square in terms of what's similar and what they're both tapping into?
I think the common thread is simplicity. Twitter made it very, very simple to have a conversation with the world just by updating what's around you and sharing what you're seeing or what you're experiencing. And the entire world can then participate in that and have a conversation with you. And Square really simplified getting into commerce. So both have simplicity, both have very, very broad utility where an individual can come to each service and really make it their own, but also the largest organizations in the world, like a Starbucks or like the US government, can use something like Twitter to really broadcast their message and make it feel smaller, make it feel more personal.
And where are you looking to take Square? It's valued at, what, $3 billion? What's the exit strategy? I mean, how do you know when it is time to go public and open this up?
Well, I think you can think about an IPO as an exit strategy. You can think about it as a goal, or you can think about it as a milestone. And we think of it more as a milestone, but you don't stop there. You just keep going and going and going and building and building. And both companies want to build something that's sustainable, that lasts beyond one generation of a human life, and something that really makes a deep impact in the world.
If this year was full of innovations about communications and, of course, Square about the exchange of payments, what's the next wave?
I think the two major trends you've seen for the past 40 years is going from these supercomputer isolated examples to actually having the same technology right in your hand. It allows us information faster, it allows us action faster, and it surfaces both in a much more compelling and relevant way, so that I believe that people can really focus on what's most meaningful, and the technology just kind of disappears and is additive when we want it to be.
People have called you the next Steve Jobs. Is that how you see yourself?
Not at all. I see, Steve has been a great inspiration for our industry, but the best thing that he ever said was that you have to follow your own path. You have to make your own path, and you have to constantly reinvent yourself and innovate. So we're taking our own path.
My thanks to Jack Dorsey. Up next on the Wall Street Journal Report, we'll take a look at the news this upcoming week that will have an impact on your money. And I hope you'll find us on Facebook/Maria Bartiromo. For more on our show and our guests, check out the website, wsjr.cnbc.com. And I hope you'll follow me on Twitter and on Google+. Look for @Maria Bartiromo. Now a look at the stories coming up in the week ahead that may move the markets and impact your money this week. Earnings reports are out from Hewlett-Packard, Lowe's, and Best Buy, among others. Monday, the nation's realtors will release the number of existing homes sold last month. On Tuesday, we get the housing starts number, residential units that began construction last month. And Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke will speak to the Economic Club of New York. That's also happening on Tuesday. Thursday is Thanksgiving. Happy Turkey Day, everybody. All markets are closed for the holiday. And then on Friday, it is here. Can you believe it? The kickoff to the holiday shopping season will begin the day after Thanksgiving, in some cases on Thanksgiving night. That'll do it for us for today. Thank you so much for being with me. Next week, instead of leftover turkey, how about joining me for an Italian feast with New York's first family of fine dining? From Le Cirque to Linguini, Sirio Massioni and Sons keep business all in the family. We'll take you there. Each week, keep it right here where Wall Street meets Main Street. Have a great week, everybody. I'll see you next weekend.